She just bought another property, and we're gonna talk about it today.
I don't even remember when I put an offer in this house. Like, I feel like it was like 40 days ago, and it's been a process. I think was one of the most annoying closings. Just because, like, I just didn't like the title company. They just kind of were like slacking, and just I think it was just needlessly long. And then the seller had some issues too, like providing documents and stuff. So that just kind of prolonged. So, like, the seller that was dragging feet, and then the title company and the closing was kind of like just a lot of lack of communication. Like, on the 25th, I didn't even know I was closing for sure because no, like, they hadn't even called me, or no maybe han dicho nada. Like, they haven't even like text me, no email, like, hey, here's your closing time and date or whatever. Like, I'm waiting and waiting, and I asked several times, like, hey, are we closing or not? And then it was funny because, like, I would get an email saying like, "Oh, we're not, closing yet," or whatever, and then I'd get an email from, like, the lender, "Congratulations on closing, clear to close." And so there was, like, some miscommunication from there because 'cause I'd get an email and I was like, "So am I closing or not?" Like, because
Mhm.
sometimes I'll be like, "Well, they wanted some extra statements because they wanted to see where, like, the funds, because I had to move some funds over, and they're like, "Well, we need the statements or that whatever because the lender's asking." But then the lender would be like, "Oh, clear to close," even till the last day. And the closing itself, again, I didn't even get told like where to go, what, not even the wiring information, or like not even the amount I was supposed to wire. So I got that information like at 3 p.m., which is like after I could wire anything. I was like, "What?" And then the mobile notary called me. It's like, "Yeah, ready to meet." I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, I haven't even been told anything." And he's like, "Oh, darn." And it's like, "Well," and for some reason, they got a mobile notary that lives northeast of the city, in San Antonio is big, and then I'm, like, south, and so for both of us was, like, an hour away to meet, and then we met at a McDonald's. I don't know if you've seen my reel lately, and, yeah, I got to close at a McDonald's because that was kind of like the halfway point, the most interesting place so far of where I've closed on a rental property. So just a lot of, logistics, and then after closing, I closed on the 25th, signed. A few days after that, they were still working on the insurance because it was missing one letter for west, and the lender wanted it to be exactly west, which, yeah, I get it, but, um, why wasn't this caught way before? Why is it like, the seller's waiting for their funding to be released because the lender didn't wanna release the funds until that got fixed, and so then we're all scrambling on a Friday, and I think that got fixed, like, at 3 p.m. on a Friday. So, as far as I know, I sent my wire information, I got everything taken care of, my insurance and all of that, and then I think the last things I have to do is just coordinating with the seller to get the security deposits and the prorated rent. So, that's the last bit with the seller. So, still working on that.
So do you how did you feel during this closing? I feel like on the past, because I only done closing for out of state, right? Like I did for my primary residence. It's not the same. Now you're gonna have to be landlord, you're moving from to self-managing. This one is like right here. Is it close to your house? I'm not sure if it's like
It's
very
about 45 minutes away. Yeah. I will say I was kind of like had some nerves, a little bit of fear that as closing was around the corner, I started like stressing out because I don't have the cushion of a property manager this time. It's like all me. And so I'm like, man, I need to create my checklist of what I need to get done and stuff. Cause the property manager does all of that for me. And I just get the email like, hey, we need to get this fixed, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, go do it. And then now I'm like, okay, so contacting the tenants, so getting their contact information. And so my husband and I are gonna tag team because I'm good with the logistics and I'm good with the finances and stuff like that, but I'm not good with the people part, right? Because I don't like confrontation and then I feel bad and blah blah blah. But my husband is really good with people. Like they just like him. He's really good. Every time I hear him with a meeting, he just has a really likable personality, but he could also be firm and, be strict when needed. And he's not afraid of confrontation. So I think that's a good team. And so that's going to be interesting as we manage this first property together. So he's already contacted the tenants and kind of just did a brief introduction like, hey, we're the new landlords and blah, blah, blah. And then today he's going to go stop by and just kind of go and create a checklist, a list of things that still need to get done. And then from there, we'll prioritize safety first because one of the things that this property has is missing handrails, which is a big safety issue. It's a big liability issue if they fall. And so, yeah, he's going to stop by and create a to do list.
You're putting your hard hat back on, your quality control experience, and you're gonna be supervising, which is funny because you would think like you guys are a team, right? But you would think he's more like into the logistics part of it, and you're like the people person, but it's completely backwards.
Yeah. Yeah, I am not good with the managing of people. The field that I went to, which was safety and stuff, like, I get to be just a little nerd and a little cubicle, like, typing away my reports, and, yeah, I would go and do inspections, which I did like doing the inspections, but, again, I had to deal with people, and sometimes I had to be a little bit firm because they were not doing what they were supposed to do or whatever. I didn't like that part, but I did like to be the nerd. I was like, "Oh, you're not gonna be in my field anymore, doing safety stuff and everything," but I get to still use that now as managing these rental properties. One of the things I'm gonna do is, like, make sure the codes for, how high the rail can be, the spacing, and all that stuff. So, like, the degree of the angle of the stairs, like, all of that, because 'cause I'm not trying to get written up or anything like that of liability for me. So yeah, definitely a lot of stuff still using that knowledge.
Yeah, I think Mark just interviewed somebody on their lives. He manages out of state as well, manages houses, and he has a very systematized way of moving in. I know you inherited tenants and you plan to keep them and all of that, but like from moving forward, like systems of like everything else, all of the checklist, and not also what are the email saves in the tenants when they move in, what are things expectations that they have to have, and all those things. So or how to acquire keys and things like that because he has, like most of his stuff is remote, but when you're there. Any software that you want to use, you plan to use for this particular house?
So I have 2. I'm gonna try the Rent Ready. Been playing around with that, and so far, like, kind of like the dashboard. So that's something that I'm gonna look at and use and see how it works. Just seeing all the logistics look good. The only thing is, well, here I get to do the maintenance, so I'll be playing around with that. One of the things that I'm concerned about, because if this goes well and I have all the systems, one thing is to then onboard my out of state properties and manage them myself versus the property manager. But the only thing that is like holding me back is the idea of like the maintenance of the like scheduled maintenance. Okay, I could find that one, but like the emergencies, because I know last year I had emergencies. I had Milwaukee had like a 500-year or 1,000-year flood. It was like out of the norm. So then had to scramble for that. So that's an emergency. And then also they had a lot of snow and all that, this year. So just kind of the logistics on that. Everything else, just find a contractor or whatever. So, but I'm just kind of worried like how am I going to handle emergency situations? So I think that's the only roadblock for that. And then here, like I said, so I don't know if like Rent Ready has something like that for like emergencies, or if I just find like a contractor that I could have for emergencies there. So that's still I'm figuring that out with Rent Ready. The other thing I am using is Baselane, which
Mhm.
is just a banking. One reason I use that one is because I like that you're able to create like buckets, and it could be for the property, and then also you have like your capex. So it created off the bat like 5 buckets, one for like operating, so I could pay like the rent and use it to go like to Home Depot or whatever. Then it has an account, a savings account for capex, a savings account for acquiring new property. So that's one. And then for vacancies and stuff like that. So you could create all different types of buckets. So I really like that. And then again, I just started with that one. So, but I've been playing around with it and it looks like it's going to give some cool reports. You have the ability to collect rent from there, but I kind of want to use Rent Ready for the collection of the rent and all of that just because I'm testing it out and see how I'm going to like it to manage the other properties. So, yeah.
Ooh, the other properties.
I know.
It is. You bought this is kinda like a duplex, right? It has 2 units, like one on one side, one on the other, but you
Mhm,
have a lot of land to develop
mhm.
additional lots or additional homes in the back.
So it's a duplex and it's an older property. I think it's from like the 90s. So it's on one side, it's a two-bedroom, one bath, and one of the bedrooms it was an addition. So I guess at one point was like a just a two-bedroom home and at some point became a duplex or something. And then the other side is just a one bedroom, one bath, which I usually like all my duplexes are like two bedroom, one bath. But the reason I went for this one, even though it wasn't going to cash flow as much as I usually try to go for, is because it's on a 0.34 acre lot inside the city. And I know San Antonio approved in 2025 the ability to have ADUs in the back. So I'm going to go and try to put. I'm thinking maybe two one bedroom, one baths. I'm not sure if I just want to go and do just another two bedroom, one bath, or just split it and make it another duplex in the back. So I haven't gotta see the logistics and all that, but I know it'll be an easier time to be able to do that. So then I'll have basically a fourplex on one lot. So that's the benefits of that. So that's going to be another learning curve for me because I've never like built anything like that. So going to be interesting because I also will be learning because I know my sister wants to do a tiny home. And so I'm going to be using the knowledge for those two. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, and thank you, Dylan, to mentioning Jack. Jack that invests in Minnesota. If you haven't checked out Mark's recent, he went live with him yesterday. His channel. Yeah, rent Reddit is solid. But Janelle, she's saying when possibly inheriting tenants, I tried to meet them during the initial walkthrough, and I think you met them, right? It's just the logistics of like having their contact information and everything that you're now pretty much trying to establish a relationship with them.
Yeah, we were able to when I was looking at the property, we met them. They're super ecstatic that somebody's taking over because the previous owner, like had some I think he cut corners for sure, especially with the flooring because he used like stick on tile that looks like the LVP and so that it was already coming apart, in the kitchen and in the living room, so that's definitely one thing that we'll be taking care of. Again, the porches, like, I don't know how he wasn't scared of like, that's one of the things, maybe it's the safety in me that, like, I'm scared of all the liability that as soon as I see that, I was like, "Oh my god, I could get sued," right? But this previous owner, I guess, didn't care about that because he had, like, holes in the wall, which I had him repair, and then a broken window and stuff like that, but, yeah, there's a lot of safety things that I need to take care of first. They're excited. They're like, my husband talked to him briefly, and they're like, "Yeah, we're super excited because, like, the porch is dangerous."
Did you feel like this transaction was easier as opposed to your other transactions, like in terms of negotiating the price or negotiating repairs or negotiating closing costs?
It was kind of like medium because I feel, um I think the seller was expecting a higher sell amount. So then when I dropped them down, it got a little bit more difficult on negotiating some fixes and things like that. But I was able to drop them down from like they had listed at 185 and I dropped them down to 165. So that was a big drop already. The seller had already been like almost like 200 days. I think it had been at 200 days, so I already had the advantage there, and so when I came and I was like, "It's 165, that's it, like, I'm not negotiating higher." It's like, that's the max I'm gonna do, and so then they took it, but then they weren't willing to negotiate, like, repairs. But then I kind of after the no, not after the appraisal, but after the inspection, then I was like, "Okay, well, we don't have much repairs, but I'm worried about the appraisal." I was like, "So just do the fixes that are going to not make me not appraised or it's not going to qualify for the DSCR loan because there was some things like there was a hole through the siding of the house. I don't know what they were doing there and then there was exposed wires from the breaker box and stuff like that because they didn't patch the drywall. They like went in there and left the hole there. Like you have people living in there. And then some other patchwork. I was like, just patch all these things up so that when the appraiser comes in, like doesn't give me a hard time that it's not livable or whatever. So I was able to squeeze that because we were already under contract, and so he's already like in there. So I used that to my advantage and was able to get him. And he fixed other things that I didn't even say, like the window. Like he replaced the window. So I still snuck in some things there. And so I think just the biggest factor was that I was able to drop them so much from their list price. So yeah. And then after that, it was kind of just simple. He still paid some closing costs and stuff. So wasn't too bad. I think what kind of like hindered him was because he still owed some money. And so he didn't want to go way too low because I know he's waiting on the funding to be able to send me back the security deposit and stuff like that. So I don't know like what's going on with him, but like he was going to use some of that to basically send back to me. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I totally understand. If you guys want to keep hearing about us, please don't forget to tune in to our podcast, Real Estate Chisme. We come out every week. We have a YouTube video channel, also podcast. So if you can subscribe, leave a comment,